All right. Yeah. Thought we'd do more scary TikToks. Scary TikToks that keep me up at night. Litodry is the channel. But yeah, let's go.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Part 28. While this appears to be a book with typical wear and tear, the damage at the bottom is from a bullet hole. The math book belongs to 10-year-old Uzziah Garcia, who along with 18 other students died in the Robb Elementary School shooting that occurred just a few months ago. This mirror selfie shows Giovanni Bezerra, a Brazilian anesthetist, who was arrested after assaulting a pregnant woman during her C-section. He heavily sedated her and placed his private part in her mouth for 10 minutes, and is seen in a hidden camera wiping her face with gauze after he was done. This photo shows a group of US airmen who were taken as prisoners of war by Japanese soldiers in 1945. 8 of the 11 men were dissected while they were still alive, and the 3 others were placed in custody. This photo shows Michael and Susan Kuhnhausen after being married for 18 years. In 2006, Michael hired a hitman to kill his wife. However, Susan choked the man with her bare hand, saying, "Tell me who sent you here, and I'll call you an ambulance."
Jesus, gangster granny.
5 pictures with creepy stories. Blanche Monnier, locked in an attic by her mother for 25 years without sunlight. When discovered, she was covered in old food and feces, with bugs all around the bed and floor, weighing barely 55 pounds.
Jeez.
Jim Jones. Jim Jones receiving a Martin Luther King Jr. Humanitarian Award. A year later, he would lead his followers to the largest mass suicide in history, claiming 900 lives. The Lawson family. Taken 3 days before Christmas when Charlie Lawson, second from top right, murdered everyone in the picture, including himself with a shotgun. Final footprints. Final footprints of a 4-year-old girl that drowned in the pond pictured behind. Mark Jackson's basketball card. In the background are the Menendez brothers sitting courtside after they killed their parents.
Jesus. I'd seen that photo before, but I didn't know it was on an actual card, like basketball card. That's mental. There's got to be conspiracy theories to say that that was done. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's conspiracy shit up any money, but yeah, let's go.
Have you ever heard of the Clown Motel?
Terrifying urban legends that turned
I
out to
thought
be
we was going
true,
to see the
Part
next
2.
bit out.
In October 1970, a couple reported seeing a man dressed in a white suit and wearing bunny ears who began yelling at them that they were on private property. It was then theorized that this man was the Bunny Man, an urban legend about an escaped mental patient in Virginia who took to gutting teens and hanging them from a bridge underpass. Locals were cautioned to never be caught near the underpass, which is now known to most people as the Bunny Man Bridge.
Scary things caught on camera. 2 girls are eating dinner while her mother happily watches. Everything seems to be going well when one of the girls notices something in the other room and lets out a scared wail.
What?
No one else sees anything, so they continue eating. Her sister tries to calm her down, but she sees something again and starts to cry out of fear. She then stands up, not being able to be near whatever it is that she sees, and runs to her mom for protection. Her sister is laughing hysterically at all this, but then she turns around and sees it for herself.
Look at me. What's the matter?
Check out my page to find out what happens next.
That's pretty mental.
This is the scary story about the peephole. A 15-year-old girl named Donna lived with her father in a very small house. Ever since her mother
Oh, yeah,
died,
we've seen this one.
Donna had depended on her dad for everything. One morning, Donna's father was leaving for a business trip. He then told her that he won't be back until later that night, and with that, he kissed Donna on the forehead and left. Later that day, when Donna
Yeah,
came
we've
home from
seen this
school,
one.
she did some homework and watched TV. The clock then struck midnight, and she noticed her father still wasn't back, so she decided to go to bed. That night, Donna had a dream. She found herself standing on the edge of a busy highway. She then looked across the highway and saw a familiar figure standing there. It was her father, and his hands were cupped around his mouth trying to yell something. But Donna couldn't make out what he was saying. She noticed her father's eyes were very sad, and he seemed to be desperately trying to communicate with her. She could barely make out the words he was saying, but it sounded like "don't open the door." Suddenly, Donna woke up to a tapping noise. Then somebody rang the doorbell. Donna then scrambled out of bed, got dressed, and ran down to the front door. Looking through the peephole, she saw her father's face outside. He was staring right at her, and the doorbell was still ringing. "Okay, hold on, I'm coming," she shouted. She pulled back the deadbolt and was about to unlatch the door when she stopped. She then looked through the peephole again, and she noticed there was something off about her father's expression. His eyes were wide open, and he looked terrified. She then slid the deadbolt back into place. "Dad, did you forget your keys?" Donna yelled. The doorbell just kept ringing. "Dad, answer me." Still, the doorbell continued to ring. "Dad, please, I need you to answer me. Is there someone else out there with you?" Still, the doorknob continued to ring. She then yelled at the top of her lungs, "I'm not opening the door until you answer me." The doorbell kept ringing and ringing, but for some reason, her father refused to answer her desperate cries. For the rest of the night, Donna sat in the corner next to the door, crying and helplessly listening to the doorbell ringing over and over again. She then eventually fell asleep. In the morning when she woke up, she noticed it was very quiet. She then got up and went over to the peephole and looked inside. Her father was still there, just staring at her. She then cautiously opened the door and was confronted with a sight that filled her with unimaginable horror. Her father's severed head was hanging from a nail above the door, and there was a note attached to the doorbell. In weird sloppy handwriting, it read, "Clever girl."
We watched that in the last one. That's a long ass story.
These four men wreaked havoc on Australia in the 90s, and you will not believe how they got caught. They're known as the Snowtown Killers, and the shorter guy in the middle is John Bunting. He's the man behind this vicious murder spree and convinced a few of his friends to help him kidnap people with disabilities so they could claim their disability checks from the government. John loved to torture these people while playing recordings of his previous victims screaming for help. He would even stare into the eyes of his victims while one of the other men strangled them. He would tell them to stop just before they died, letting them recover briefly before repeating the process over again. Eventually, John would just murder them and pack their bodies into plastic barrels which he would store in an abandoned bank. However, he had no sense of smell, and the stench of the barrels was so bad that neighbors reported him, which led to his eventual capture.
Jesus.
John Bunting was then taken to court where he received 11 consecutive life sentences.
That's mental.
Can you do the one where the bride gets trapped in a chest? I know exactly which one you're talking about. It's called The
We've done
Bride.
this one too.
For her, she could pop inside the trunk. After hanging on the trunk in the house.
Basically, she looked in the trunk, fell in it, got stuck. No one thought she'd be in the trunk, so they just thought she ran off on the wedding. And then some cleaner, years later, found her skeleton.
Disturbing things caught on camera. The following video shows Andy Winehouse, hearing his own voice calling him from another room. Andy says that he was laying in bed, in his family home, when he heard his own voice calling him from the dining room. What's more terrifying is that moments later, he heard footsteps and scrapes coming from the other room, which caused him to run away from his home. Take a look.
Come here. Come here. Come here. Hey, come here. Come here. What I told you. Come here.
Hit plus if this was terrifying.
I was waiting for the
Pictures with creepy backstories.
Jesus.
Hotel manager pouring acid
You've
into
seen this one
pool
too.
because he only wanted white people to use it. Youngest mother ever recorded.
Yeah, we've seen this one.
Later was killed by a volcanic eruption.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. An average human walks past 36 murderers in their lifetime. There's future biotech technology when injected into prisoners. It makes them feel they served a 1,000-year sentence in a matter of 8 hours. The blue whale ejaculates over 40 gallons of sperm when mating. Only 10% enters the female. And you always wonder why the sea tasted salty. If you block your nose when you sneeze, you can rupture a blood vessel in your neck that can make you bleed to death. People that are left-handed die 3 years faster than people that are right-handed. Watching horror films can burn up to 200 calories. You may be living the last year of your life without being aware.
Yeah, that's mental.
You are always 6 minutes away from death. Breathing just resets the clock. There's a lot more, like for part 9.
Yeah, that one, that it could be your last year and you don't know. Yeah, it's like that one in it where they say at some point in your childhood, you and your mates went home and that was the last time you all went out together again and none of you realised it. That's a crazy thing too. But yeah, some of them we'd seen, Litodry, and also he needs to normalise the sound. The going up and down, but mind you, these are from like last year, so he just started his channel with this. Hopefully, it's, do you know what I mean? But yeah, that one with like one of them voices in the videos is so loud. And then you turn that down, and then you can't hear the next one. But yeah, but yeah, that's the reactions all week.